Okay, so British Boxing's Fabulous February continues, and after all the thrills and spills at the Motorpoint Arena on Saturday and the best Roy Jones impression I've ever seen for the first few rounds from Eubank, we move on, and this weekend we're back in London. The biggest fight out there is John Ryder against Daniel Jacobs. So John the Gorilla Ryder against Daniel the Miracle Man Jacobs. A great fight this, a great opportunity for Ryder, fighting in his home territory at the Alexandra Palace, live on DAZN. And how's the fight going to break down, really? I mean, looking at it, you've got to say that Jacobs is the much more quality operator, the much more experienced man. He's 37-3. He's 34 years old. He's had those 3 losses now. He'd lost to Dmitry Priog in a challenge for the WBO middleweight title back in 2010. That was a TKO loss. And then shortly after that, this is why he's called the Miracle Man, incidentally, because he went off and was treated for a rare form of bone cancer. It was supposed to be the end of his boxing career, if not fatal. It took him out of the sport for 2 years. He recovered. He came back. He had a run of great wins. He's won the IBF and the WBA middleweight title, so he had 2 spells in 2018 and 2019 as middleweight champ. The other 2 losses he's had in 2017, he lost to Golovkin on unanimous decision, and obviously no disgrace there. And he pushed Golovkin hard. When Golovkin was stopping everybody in 2019, he lost to Canelo. Again, he pushed Canelo hard but lost on unanimous decision. So a very, very experienced guy. He was a great amateur as well. Had about 150 amateur fights, won most of them. American national champion, 2 times Golden Gloves. So a great boxer. He can fight as well. High knockout ratio, 82% knockout ratio in all his fights. But he can really box, really fast feet. So a great kind of all-rounder. So he's coming up obviously against John Ryder. Now, John Ryder is kind of British boxing's nearly man. He's 33 years old, and 30-5, in wins to losses. His first loss came against Billy Joe Saunders, unanimous decision. Now, we know Billy Joe was pretty special, so no disgrace in there. And there was only a couple of rounds in that fight. Then later on, he challenged again for the British title against Nick Blackwell, was winning comfortably, and then Blackwell stepped in and stopped him in the 7th on a TKO, stopped it on his feet. After that, he lost to Jack Arnfield, Rocky Field in split decision, Callum Smith unanimous decision, and in that fight, everybody outside Liverpool thinks John Ryder won that fight, for the world title. So he's often not had that 30-5 is a bit deceptive. He doesn't seem to get the rub of the green in decisions, so his record could look a lot better, basically. But he hasn't mixed in the quality that Jacobs has mixed in. So going into this fight, I think there are other interesting stats when you look at the careers. I mean, look at Jacobs. Like I say, he's got that high knockout ratio, but it's all really been down at middleweight. He's only really had 2 fights at super middle. That was, when he came back from the Canelo loss, he beat Julio Cesar Chavez, who retired on his stool, and you never kind of know what Chavez is going to get. Chavez didn't really seem into that fight, and then he boxed Gabriel Rosado, who's kind of a gatekeeper super middle, and he struggled in that fight. And that was quite a while ago. I mean, his last fight, was back in December 2019. So it's going to be 432 days between his last fight and when he steps in against John Ryder. It's quite a lot of inactivity. And you kind of get this feeling, or I get this feeling, I might be wrong. I mean, these guys, there's 1 year between them. John Ryder's 1 year younger than Daniel Jacobs, but I just kind of feel that Jacobs is maybe coming at the end of his career, a lot of hard fights, and he's fought the best guys out there, and he's had this long spell of inactivity which he's never had, and he's also boxing outside, really, of the weight division he's done best in, that middleweight weight division. He's up in super middle now. John Ryder, obviously had, all those fights at middle, and is now moved up to super middle in 2017, so he's more settled at the weight. He's naturally a big, strong guy. I mean, that's why he's called the Gorilla. In his last fight was September 21. So he's been British boxing's nearly man for so long. I'm really hoping, and I'm hoping this is not a decision of my heart over my head, but I'm really hoping that the home crowd, that we're going to see the best version of John Ryder that we could see. We're going to see the version of John Ryder maybe even better than the one that came out against Callum Smith. I think John Ryder knows this is his last chance. This is his chance to not be the nearly man, to not be the one that, everything just slipped away from, didn't quite win the British title against great opposition, didn't quite win the world title against great opposition. I think now, I just feel it's John Ryder's moment. I think that home crowd is going to roar him on. I see it as a points decision. These are both tough guys. Don't see them stopping each other, even though I talked about Jacobs' big knockout ratio. John Ryder's so strong as well. I see this going to points, and I'm hoping that, it's a matchroom show. It's John Ryder's home show. It's in London. All the Islington crowd are going to be up there. And I think that roaring him on is going to mean that he's going to win. That doesn't mean, we've got to see Daniel Jacobs is a master technician, a master boxer. He may get on the back foot and slip and slide and just be too much for John Ryder to chase after him. I mean, this is where the interesting thing is, with the promoter, with Matchman being the promoter, how big's the ring going to be? A smaller ring is going to suit Ryder, and a larger ring is going to suit Jacobs. But I just kind of got a feeling on this one that, going against the bookies, who have got Jacobs coming in as the favourite, I just think Ryder, it's Ryder's moment, it's his time, and I think he's going to nick it on points. That's my hope anyway. I think it's going to be another great weekend for British boxing. I think it's going to be another fantastic show. Fabulous February continues, and we really look forward to this fight. It's going to be brilliant. Let's see what it brings.